This month, HBO Max isn't adding DC animation, it's losing it. And that caught a lot of fans off guard. DC animation has been one of the platform's most consistent strengths. So when titles start disappearing, it raises real questions about strategy, licensing, and where these shows are actually heading to next. Because every time a streamer reshuffles a cornerstone like DC animation, it's usually not random. It's a signal that something bigger is changing behind the scenes.
Are you not entertained?
All right, so here's the important context. When DC animation starts rotating off HBO Max, it doesn't automatically mean the shows are being canceled or abandoned. In many cases, it comes down to licensing windows, cost structures, and where those titles perform the best financially. At the same time, streaming platforms are being far more selective these days about what they keep in house versus what they license out. Even strong brands like DC Animation can be part of that revelation, not because they're weak, but because they're valuable. So the real question isn't why are these shows leaving? It's what role DC Animation plays in the platform's next phase. So let's put it to you. Jump to the comments. Is HBO losing DC Animation mainly about short-term licensing and cost management, or is this part of a bigger long-term strategy for how DC content is being positioned? Type licensing and or strategy in the comments down below.
Yeah, but my issue with this is the licensing, etc. DC, HBO, they're all owned by the same parental entity. So what licensing more is there? That's what I'm confused on my part. I
Um,
get it. I get it. HBO Max doesn't always own everything. It streams outright forever. Many items are licensed, and when those deals expire, content can leave. Removal of classical animated shows, i.e., Cartoon Network Looney Tunes, from 24 up to 25, is just part of the broader licensing strategy. The Warner Brothers Discovery major restructuring and shift towards the new Netflix Warner Brothers deal, streaming content strategy has been in flux with recent offerings consolidation, reorganizing, or shifting titles to other platforms or windows. Some titles leaving Max may be set up for theatrical or home video windows. I kind of doubt that. Many new streaming licenses elsewhere or other distribution deals rather than just disappearing. The DCU restructuring under James Gunn could also have a hand in that, with the DC universe being reworked under James Gunn and Peter Safran. Forgive me if I mispronounced that. With DC Studios, the strategic focus has been on new content, sometimes at the expense of older catalog visibility. Additionally, with that, rumors are tied to the Netflix Warner deal, preview of how future DC content might shift distribution partners, though no official final agreements are able to be substantiated. So yeah, I'm just confused on my part. Warner owns HBO. So
Well, I think too, you have to keep into account that because they do own it, everybody that's probably watched these certain DC animations on the platform has already watched it and they're done with it. And so taking them off HBO and possibly shopping them around other streaming service could bring in more money versus it just sits there on HBO and no one watches it really. So I think that's part of the mindset like, hey, we can sell it to Peacock, brings in this X amount of money versus it just stays on our platform and no one's really watching it and it's not generating views or subscriptions, then why would we keep it? Let's just give the streaming rights for a certain amount of window for some money. We all know, even though, yes, there's a deal on the table for Netflix and Paramount, we get to that a little later. Warner Brother needs money now. Like they have debt to pay now. So this is probably just one of those moves, helps them sustain payments until they figure out if it's going to be Netflix or Paramount. I think, and then too, like content rotates on and off platforms all the time. Just because it's getting taken away now doesn't mean it won't come back. I mean, because they, like you said, they do own the rights. So I just think they're trying to generate some income in the meantime while this whole Netflix and Paramount deal gets flushed out. Because I mean, they got real bills right now. They got salaries to pay, probably rent to pay. Like they got a lot of bills they got to pay. They just can't sit there on their hands and do nothing until next year when whoever deal or merger comes to fruition. So I think it's just that. And from what I was reading earlier, it seems like it's the older DC animation. So probably the ones that really isn't getting any attention on the app. And they just see the numbers and it's like, hey, if somebody's willing to pay us for the rights for this for like, 6, 8, 9 months, we rather do that than have it sit here and generate no income while on our platform.
Okay, yeah, I kind of get that. A lot of the stuff they're taking on, I am fans of, and then like I said, I have children, so I try to share my nostalgia and things I grew up watching with them. But laying it out like that, yeah, yeah.
When was the last time you watched a DC animation show?
Batman Beyond, I just started watching that maybe a month ago with my son
And before
because I
and
also bought
outside of
him
that?
the complete Batman Beyond graphic novel that he loved and he enjoyed. So I was
Okay,
like, "Oh, you
okay,
enjoyed that?
okay, but
That's the
let's keep
show."
context to, HBO. What else have you watched recently?
He
I'm
watches
not
Teen
talking
Titans
about
Go.
him, I'm talking about you.
We're
You're the
talking
one pa
about both.
No,
Yeah,
well, I'm talking about you. You the one that pays the bill, so what have you watched?
the Batman Beyond with him. That's kind of about it.
That's it? Okay. But because 'cause I'm saying,
Yeah,
like, most people that's paying for the app is probably, they do have fandom for it just like you. 9 out of 10, people ain't got time to be watching this shit every day. Once you watch it once, you're kinda cool on it for I'm just saying, I'm just trying to paint the picture like, yeah, mofos with jobs and responsibility, once we watch it, it's not like we gonna cut that bitch on every day, and I'm not saying some people don't do that. The average person is not. So that's another probably going into that, "Hey, this shit ain't moving." So we gotta make some money on it some way, somehow.
no, I get you. I get, like I said, you broke it down that context. I get what you're saying, but my whole thing was just like, how are you losing your own content that's owned by said yourself or
I think
your parental?
losing is not the best choice of words. They're going to reposition the ownership in a different way to make money. Yeah,
Because
because
my next question was, I get what you're saying, them licensing out like to Paramount or Peacock, etc. But licensing out to them, does that mean it cannot be on your said thing? But then before I ask that, I'm like, oh well, then what gives anyone to an
yeah,
incentive to watch it
yeah, you
on
gotta have
Peacock
some
if it's
exclusive.
if it's elsewhere? Right, 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 right.
Yeah, like we said earlier, we asked whether this is licensing for long-term strategy or not. Make sure you give your thoughts and comments below. Outside of that, do you think this is all about fucking Warner Brother trying to pay their bills in the meantime before the deal gets done, or are they just, I don't know, crashing out? Is the HBO app in danger? I did report earlier that the HBO app is not gaining subscribers like they thought. It's really become a money hole, a money pit, and it's just not generating the income that, well, that's for all streaming services, but it's getting more expensive to maintain, and therefore it's like they either gonna have to raise the price or they, yeah, do what they do and have to cut some of the product out and start selling it to other streaming service. Just, but comments your thoughts below.